Sound asleep.
Wait,
This word is undefined, same as spherical.
That's what I just said right here.
All right,
Wait, don't you
let's
just-
see what we can do with our practice quiz.
No, you divide by,
oh, so
We are solving this triangle.
no, you divide by
So
14.
guys, you remember yesterday we were getting error for some of them? You should not be getting error on problem number 1. Problem number 1 is a solve. So you are going to get 3 answers. The 3 things that you don't already have. Okay, so let's get our law signs set up and see what we can make happen here.
oh, so you
So-
gotta find this right here.
Tell me about angle S. Gang, tell me about angle S. What's angle S? 65. Evan, why is it 65? The angles of a triangle have to add up to 180. Now, oops, I need something over here. This is 14. Right here, guys, there's your key. So sine 53 over 14 equals, now, you're going to do both of them. You recall that? Gotta do both of them. So the order you do them doesn't matter. So what do you want to say? Sine 53 over 14 equals sine what? 62 over h. That's fine. That's totally fine. We also are going to have to say sine 53 over 14 equals sine 65 over s. Right? So it doesn't matter which one you're doing first. We're going to do them both. So now I'm going to cross multiply. So h sine 53 equals 14 sine 62. Now what am I solving for? What am I trying to figure out? H. So I'm going to have to divide by sine 53. Now will this be an inverse sign problem? Am I going to be doing inverse sign on this problem? Seth is shaking his head no, because I'm not looking for an angle, right? What am I looking for? Side H. So I'm just going to type in, make sure I'm in degrees. I'm going to type in 14 sine 62, close parentheses, divided by sine 53. And I got, what was that, H? For H, I got 15.48. How does that sound to everybody?
Yep.
And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So 14 sine 65 equals S sine 53. Cross multiply. And then we're trying to solve for S, so we'll divide by sine 53. And then I'll type it in. 14 sine 65. I got 15.89. All right? You didn't get that? Okay.
Like function the same thing for no for the
I could have typed it in wrong. 14 sine 65 close parentheses divided by sine 53. I got it again. Okay,
Close.
so that's problem one, all right?
Oh, 165.
All right, so that's problem one. Now, problem two is exactly like what we did yesterday. Okay, so this is different. We're still gonna set it up the same way, but the question isn't find all these angles and sides. The question is, how many possible triangles are there? So what is the answer gonna be? The answer is gonna be 0, 1, or 2. Right, that's gonna be the answer. 0 triangles, 1 or 2. But we start the same way, so how am I going to start? Right here, this is my law of sines, how am I gonna start? You know, sine 63 over 15 equals sine k over 14. It's sine angle over the side. Alright, so now I'll cross multiply just like I did a minute ago. So 14 sine 63 equals 15 sine k. Now what am I going to divide by? I'm going to divide just by the 15 because that is inseparable. So sine k equals 14 sine 63 over 15. Now, do I just type that in? No. I need second sign. Don't I need to type second sign? 14 sine 63 over 15.
56.
So do I get an answer? Remember, sometimes this one might say error. Second sign, 14 sine 63 close parentheses divided by 15. I got 56.26. Anybody else get that? But I'm not done because that's one answer, but I need to check for another one. So I'm going to redraw my triangle from the beginning, 63, 14, 15, just the given. There's my triangle. And I'm going to check to see if there could be another possible angle. How do I find that second angle? Who remembers? 180 minus the first one. That's right. So 180 minus the first. So the first one was 56. So 180 minus it will be 123.74. And then you just gotta look at that and see, does that make sense? No, why not? This is more than 180, right? And you can't have more than 180. So therefore, that triangle, I should always try. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This time it doesn't. So how many triangles are possible? One, just the original one you found. Okay? Your quiz Tuesday will look exactly like this. 2 problems. All right? We're going to go ahead and do a lesson, but if we have time at the end, we'll practice another one. Okay? It's a long time until Tuesday. Maybe we pull this out sometime over the long weekend, or maybe not, whatever you want to.
Oh,
All right, let's get our notes out.
okay. Thank you.
And we are going to solve another triangle.
Both sides ball.
we're in 5.6 now, section 5.6. And we're gonna solve this triangle right here. Okay. So before I start solving, I think I'm gonna do some labeling. So remembering how we label triangles,
I did.
I'll put side P, little p will be over here.
I tried. I remember my fault. I'm sorry.
Alright, so let's go ahead and jump in and solve this. Go ahead and set up your law signs. See if you can get it solved. Alright, so what will the law of signs look like? Alright, what will the law of signs look like? Sine 58 over P equals Q over 13? Nope. Could I have said R over 10? Absolutely. But either way, I'm gonna have the same problem. What's the matter? Too many variables, right? Too many variables. I don't know if you were listening or not when I told you that the key to the law of signs is when you have your given information. When you have your given information, you have this. You have to have angle A and side A. You have to have angle P and side P, angle R, side R, angle Q, side Q. Doesn't matter which set you have, but you have to have a set. If you do not have that set, you run into this problem. This is not solvable. It has too many variables in it. So we can't use the law signs. We can only use the law signs when we have this set, or this set. If you don't have both of those, then you can't use the law signs. So what do we have to use? The law of cosines, okay? And here, this is going to look very scary. Oh, even in physics, if you're in physics, you probably have done this law of cosines. It looks very scary, but it's not. It's very easy to use. The letters look scary. So I'm gonna write down what the law of cosines would look like for this problem. I want you to write it down. P squared equals 10 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times 10 times 13 times cosine 58. All right. Now, let's see what I did there. So, P is the only angle that I have in this problem. Would you agree with that? If you're doing cosines, you're only gonna have one angle. And that angle is the letter that's over here, and then of course the angle at the end of the problem. So I got a P here and a P here. Now what do I have in between? What's in between? My P on this end and my cosine P on this end. What's all this stuff? It's the other two sides. So I square them and add them up. And then I subtract 2 times each of them. And that's how the formula works. We'll practice again, don't worry. Let's type it in. The good news is, we can just type this in exactly the way it looks. So you can type 10 squared plus 13 squared, use your squared button, minus 2 times 10 times 13 times cosine 58. What'd you get? 131.22. All right, now be careful.
Wait, I got a negative.
Be careful. What is that 131? That 131 is p squared. So what do I need to do? To get p, I'm going to need to square root it. So I'm going to square root that number, and you should get 11.46. $11.46. Now, are you ready for the really good news? Look at what you have now. Now I can do my law of sines to find the other things I need, right? So let's find, it doesn't matter, let's find R. Okay, let's find angle R. So here I go. Sine 58 over 11.46 equals sine R over 10. So now I'm going to cross multiply 11.46 sine R equals 10 sine 58. This one equals this one. Now I'm going to have to divide. What am I going to divide by? 11.46. That's what I'm dividing by. This can't be broken. So it says sine R equals 10 sine 58 divided by 11.46. How do I type that in? What? Inverse sine. Exactly, Ceres. Inverse sine. So I'm going to do second sine 10 sine 58 close parentheses divided by 11.46. Did you get 47.73? That's angle R. And then, here's the really good news. We still need angle Q, but do we need to do any trig to find angle Q? No, because what do we know about the angles of a triangle? They add up to 180. So, 58. I got 74.27 for angle Q. Wow. A lot going on in that problem. Ready for another one?
We want the same house?
No. Thanks for asking though.
Yep.
Alright, so now I think I'm gonna go a little bit out of order. I'm gonna go to problem C, because it is exactly like the one we just did, so we'll see what we can remember. B is gonna be a tad bit different, but we're gonna do problem C right now.
Good girl. Sorry.
Alright?
Ms. Ford, can you explain the P squared thing again?
I'm ready to do it right now. Alright? So we're gonna need our law of cosines. So we're gonna practice writing it again, because you've only done it once. Alright, so let's try it here. This is problem C. So the first thing you do when you look at a problem, it's gonna say solve the triangle. You're gonna have to decide, am I gonna use the law of sines or the law of cosines? Most people wanna use the law of sines because it's so much easier. But what's the case if I'm gonna use the law of sines? I have to have these, right? Or I have to have these, or I have to have these. Do I have any of that? No. So therefore, this is going to be a law, it's gonna start as a law of cosines, okay? So, I'm gonna find side E. I have to use, in the law of cosines, I have to use the angle that I have. Since I have angle E, I'm gonna find side E. So I'm gonna have E squared, and then I'm gonna have a bunch of junk, but on the end, I'm gonna have cosine 104. That's the way the law of cosines works. I have angle E, so out at the end of it is gonna be cosine 104. And then on this side, all by itself is E squared. Okay? Now, in the middle, can you remember what goes in the middle? In the middle, I'm gonna be using the 12 and the 16. So I'm gonna have 12 squared plus 16 squared minus 2, it's always minus 2, 12 times 16. That's how the law of cosines works. Now, we can just type all that in, but where we get tricked sometimes is we get so excited about getting this all typed in that we forget all of that is what? E squared, right? So we need to take the square root of it. I got 22.20. Got error. Oh no, we shouldn't get error. The only time we should get error is when we're doing the how many triangles are possible problems.
I didn't close the parentheses.
Oh yeah, that can cause problems, yeah. Look who's here. Oh wait, there's a practice quiz we did too. It'll be on video, you'll have to watch it and do it. We might practice at the end of the period too. We gotta get through one more problem.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay? So everybody good with 22.2? Alright, now we aren't done. We still have to find angle D and angle F. So, what's next? Now look at what you have, guys. Don't you have what you need to do the law of sines? So here we go. Sine 104 over 22.20 equals, pick one, I don't care, equals what? Sine F over 12. You could also have done sine D over 16. Makes no difference, just pick one. Alright, so now we cross multiply. 12 sine 104 equals 22.20 sine F. Every time you cross multiply, ever in your life, after you cross multiply, you're going to divide. What am I going to divide by in this problem? 22.20, exactly. So it's going to say sine F equals 12 sine 104 over 22.20. How do I put that into my calculator? Inverse sine. So second sine, 12 sine 104, close parentheses, divided by 22.2.
No, that's it, it's good.
Did you get 31.63?
Oh, sign -1, yeah.
And then the good news is, if you're really into the law of signs, you could do that again to find D, but you don't need to. Because now that you know 104 and 31, can't you just subtract to get this one? So 180 minus 104 minus 31.63. I got 44.37. And the triangle is solved. Is that okay?
How'd you get 44.37 again?
These have to add up to 180. So whatever 104 and 31 is, I subtracted from 180. All right, one more, and we'll review if we have time. So now we're back to problem B. I skipped that one because it's a little bit different. Okay, so the first thing you do when you see a problem that says solve the triangle, first thing you do is try to figure out if you're going to use the law of sines or the law of cosines. Now, what's the rule for the law of sines? You need a set. So you have to look at your picture and say, okay, do I know both of these? No. Do I know both of these? No. Do I know both of these? No. So therefore, we will not be doing the law of sines. And that means we have to use the law of cosines. How many angles does the law of cosines use? One. I don't know any of these angles. So, I don't know. Let's pick one. Let's do B. You just gotta pick one, all right? So I'm gonna use angle B. So out here on this end, it's gonna say cosine B. There'll be a whole bunch of junk in there, but on the end, it's gonna be cosine B. What's gonna be over here then? If I put cosine B, then this is gonna be 14 squared. Because whatever angle I'm using, that's the thing that's here by itself. So if you decided, no, I don't want B, I want C. So you would put cosine C, but then here you would have 10 squared, right? Okay, now, everything in the middle, I've got 14 over here, I got B's. So everything here in the middle is going to be a combination of these two. Agreed? So what am I going to have? 10 squared plus 12 squared minus 2, always minus 2, times 10 times 12? Right? It looks so hard, but it's so easy. Once I picked my angle, that's both ends. And then everything in the middle is the other two sides. Squared plus squared minus 2 times the middle. Now, This one is harder to type in. You can't just type this in because that's a variable, right? So here's what we're gonna do. And as you practice, you'll develop your own style, and I'm okay with that, totally okay with that, as long as you get the right answer. But right now, for our first one, we're gonna take it slow. So tell me what 14 squared is. I'm actually gonna work it. What's 14 times 14? 196. This is 100. That's 144. 2 times 10 times 12, that's 240. Cosine B. So all I've done so far is just figure out what all those values are. Okay? Now I'll tell you a mistake that's made all the time. Kids will add 100 and 144. There's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. That'd be 244. But then they subtract 244 minus 240. Can you do that? No, because that one's hooked to an x. That's your variable, right? So how am I going to solve that? I went ahead and added these together. That was perfectly okay. But what do I do now?
Yeah, the ones.
I'm going to subtract 244. So I end up with negative 48 equal to negative 240 cosine B, okay. Now what? Divide by negative, it's gonna be 240. So I'm gonna have 48 over 240. What happened to the negatives? Canceled, right? How do I type that in on my calculator? What? Inverse cosine, absolutely. So second cosine, 48 divided by 240, and angle B is 78.46. All right? Now, if you loved that experience, if that was the most fun thing you've done in a long time, then you could do it again, the exact same process for a different angle. Or you can look at the problem now and say, oh, wait a minute, now I can do the law of sines. So which way do you want to do it? We're either going to use sines or cosines. We can do both this time. Would you like to do another law of sines, or do you want to practice another cosine? Cosine? All right. So which angle do you want to find now? Do you want to find A or C? Kids, it doesn't matter. C. C? All right, so now we're going to find angle C. If I am finding angle C, then out here on this end, it's going to say cosine C. And what is going to be over here then? If I am doing angle C, then over here on the left side of my equation is going to be 10 squared. And then what's going to be in the middle? Well, I got 10 squared, so these two are going to be the other ones. So 12 squared plus 14 squared minus 2 times 12 times 14.
You said you can use sine though.
Yep, once you do step one, you can do the law of sine. We're practicing another law of cosine. The answer will be the same. All right, so who remembers now? We gotta get through this big ugly equation. What did we do? We kind of just worked out all the numbers. So we have 100, 144, 196, that is. 2 times 12 times 14, 336. This is where things start to get a little hairy if we're not careful. What would you suggest? We're trying to solve this. What would you suggest maybe we do?
Add the 144.
Yeah, add the 144 and the 196. Get 340. These are like terms. They can be added. Do not combine the 336 though, because the 336 has a cosine come to it. Okay? So, what do we do now? Who remembers? Subtract 240. So I have negative 240 equal to negative 336 cosine C. And now I will divide, so it's going to become positive. How do I type that in on my calculator? Second cosine, inverse cosine. And I got 44.42.
240 is a negative, so you plus
over 336, second cosine. That's negative 240.
You said what?
Now, if that was just amazing good time, could you do it one more time for angle A? You could. But even I don't like it that much. If I know these two angles, can I just subtract to find this one instead of doing all of the math? So 180 minus 78.46 minus 44.42, 57.12.
Yeah, so I can.
He been on that since freshman year.
All right, welcome to the law of cosines.
Why would you say she breaks?
All right, let's do one quick review problem so you do it on a piece of paper or your iPad or just sit there, I don't care. We need to practice one more law of sines problem for our quiz on Tuesday. So do you want to do one of the solves or one of the how many triangles are possible? Okay, I don't care, we don't have time for both, so we can only do one. So,
How many triangles
how
are
many
possible?
triangles are possible? Okay. Now remember, your quiz is just the law of sines, so you won't be doing this stuff. On the quiz. All right, so how many triangles are possible?
Dang, sis.
Let's say this is 58, this is 16, and this is 07. And directions say how many triangles are possible. All right, how do we start?
Is this one signed?
We start by our beaten little eyes zeroing right in on that. Because that means sine 58 over 17 equals sine B over 16. Then we will cross multiply. So 17 sine B equals 16 sine 58. And then we'll divide by 17 because that's our variable. So sine B equals 16 sine 58 over 17. Does that look okay to everybody?
Yeah.
With me?
Yeah.
Now I gotta go to my calculator. And what am I gonna type in on my calculator?
Yeah. The inverse?
Inverse sine, absolutely. Anytime you have this, you need inverse sine. So second sine, 16 sine 58, close parentheses, divided by 17, 52.96. And then what do I immediately do? I say, well, I got one answer. Could I have another answer? Well, if I do, it is 180 minus the first one. So let's see, what would that be? 127.04. Can you have a 127 and a 58 in the same triangle? No. Nope. So therefore, how many triangles are possible? One, just the original one we got. All right, I got a little Valentine for you here, completely optional. But if you have some spare time and you want to do some fun there. Sometimes we do stuff just because it makes us a better person, yeah.
Hey,
My Valentine.
oh, so, for that one,
Oh. Okay.
like, if you get the numbers mixed up, will that make that answer wrong?
I got the numbers this
No, I
up.
said, like, if you did, like, if you put, like, sine 60 or sine 58,
You gotta have it lined up. You gotta have angle C beside angle C beside C.
Which sport is this, dude?
No, it's optional. It's completely optional. Just for fun.
I swear, in his brain, there's nothing. You cannot understand it.
180 minus 52.
Empty cabinet.
It's always 180 minus 1%.
Look at it.
All right. Good luck this weekend, Luke. Good luck this weekend. Aren't you wrestling?
Yeah, I wonder if
Jack, are you going to experience?
Yeah. Just got my note cards done.
Huh?
I just got my note cards done.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. See you Tuesday.
Very cool.
For it, yes.
That's probably 14.
You figured it out?
Yeah.
Good boy.